I'm Birdface, and this is Destiny 2. But most of you probably already knew that. But this video isn't for you. It's for all your friends that you want to get into Destiny 2. Because as we all know, drugs are always better with friends. So send this video to everyone you want to get into Destiny 2, and we'll talk about the good and the bad. And I will also be avoiding like major spoilers, and I'll try to stick to mostly to the base game. So I won't be talking about Witch Queen, Final Shape, Beyond Light, or Lightfall. I had to remember all of them. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. In 2014, a celestial object is discovered above Mars, and this marks the beginning of humanity's golden age. They called it the Traveler, and it began to terraform Mars, Venus, and Io. And a few other places too, but that's for lore. But as humanity was at its pinnacle, the Traveler's ancient enemy, the Darkness, arrived. Then came the collapse that sent humanity into a dark age. The Traveler released the ghosts into the world, and they began resurrecting warriors to use the light as a weapon to fight back against the darkness. These are Guardians. Okay, so I breezed through a lot there, but there's a ton of lore that covers the space. If you want to know about it, this guy's video. His name is Bife. It's a 10-hour long video. Bruh. As a Guardian, you're an immortal warrior that's empowered by the Traveler's light to fight back the darkness. But you're not like the never die immortal, more like the never age immortal. So trust me, you'll be dying a lot. Fun fact, every single time you die in an activity in Destiny, your character actually dies and your ghost brings you back to life. This also extends to the PvP mode called the Crucible. It's Guardians actually killing each other. But don't think about that too much. Don't want to get existential while you're playing. The Guardian ranks are broken up into 3 classes: Bloaty Boys, Crayon Eaters, the objective good guys. Don't at me, Titan mains. The first evil Guardian was a Titan and he was gunned down by a Hunter. But no, really, it's Titans, Warlocks, and Hunters. You'll also have 3 races to choose from: humans, Exos, and Awoken. Think of the classes as like a personality test, and you will be judged harshly depending on who you choose. But don't think of these classes as like the typical MMO style of doing classes. You aren't locked out of certain weapons because you pick a Hunter, for example. The only thing that will change is how each class individually uses the elemental types in the game: Void, Solar, and Arc. These elements appear all over the game and come with their own mechanics inside of each subclass. And every class has multiple subclasses. I'll put them here on screen. Each one has a different way of playing the game, and really it's up to your personal choice. So my advice to you is try out all 3 and see which one is a good choice for you. And then tell me in the comments why you chose Hunter. But who do we fight against in this game? Who are the quote-unquote bad guys? Well, without complicating it with lore implications, I'll just go over the list of all the bad guys. Fallen, pirates with 4 arms. Hive, creepy bug things that like to swarm at you. Vex, time-traveling murder robots. Cabal, Greco-Roman space turtles. And Taken. Hard to explain them without going into lore. There are a couple more races, but I'd rather not ruin the reveals for those. Trust me, the experience is worth it. All of these races have detailed histories that you can explore in the lore, but by far the race that's the most explored is the Hive, and they have some of the most banger lore I've seen in any game. The second is the Cabal, but that's only because Keitel is cool.
Bow. No.
Each one of these races kind of bring their own specific tactics when it comes to fighting them. You don't engage the Hive the same way you engage with the Fallen, and you don't engage the Cabal the same way you engage with, like, the Taken. And that's really because the world of Destiny is really fleshed out and detailed. No location really feels the same. There's always feelings that there's like a secret or another bit of story around every corner. And trust me, there's always a secret to be found. The best example I can think of is this location called the Dreaming City. The Dreaming City is a massive location. Without spoiling anything, the Dreaming City is where most of the Awoken come from. Sadly, the Awoken can't live there anymore because one of the Hive Gods made a wish to a paracausal dragon and now it's blighted and no one can live there. But the castle and the surrounding areas are still there and you can still explore them, find secrets, and even loot. One of Destiny's massive strengths is that they have found a way to make every little activity we do for loot flow really well into the story and what's going on. To use the Dreaming City as an example again, in the Forsaken expansion, the Blind Well actually changed every week and was pushing forward the story for the rest of the community. And there were pages of lore about the Blind Well. And almost all of these activities aren't devoid of character either, and they all link back to what was going on with Mara Sov at the time. Characters are another one of Destiny's great assets. There's a plethora of characters that have come and gone over the years too. Most of them are pretty deep and they don't feel like they're just there to fill a slot. This extends even to the bad guys. My favorite example is Emperor Callus. Callus was basically the emperor of the Cabal race, but he was exiled when his daughter led a coup to take over the empire. They exiled him to his giant planet-eating ship called the Leviathan, where he eventually ended up at our doorstep. The Leviathan was 3 raids in 1. Callus was such a Chad that he had raids for character exploration. And every time we set off aboard the Leviathan, we learned something new about him. Although they did kind of fumble his character in a later expansion. And the Leviathan raids are no longer in the game. But I still have hope that maybe they'll come back.
No!
Not to say that every character is perfect, but they're at least interesting on a certain level. Except Nimbus. He sucks. So we've covered the premise, the basic world, a little bit of lore just to tease you a little bit. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this game. What is the gameplay like? The gameplay is probably what keeps most people sticking around. It feels so good. No matter what criticism you hear about Destiny 2, no one can deny that the moment-to-moment gameplay is really satisfying and fun. This can really be broken down into activities and weapons. When it comes to activities, there's a plethora of them. Campaigns, strikes, dungeons, raids, Crucible, which is PvP, and that only scratches the surface. There are plenty of activities to keep you occupied, even ones that show up seasonally. And most of these activities have specific loot that you can only get from playing those activities. Not every single gun is different when you get below legendary gear, but every legendary weapon has its own design, sound, and feel. This is only amplified by the perks in the game that arrive on every gun. Originally, I was going to go into depth about perks and stuff like that, but I didn't want to get too granular to feel like it was overly complex. Basically, perks just change how the weapon operates, and you'll find a certain perk combination that feels good to you and rock with it. Seriously, perks go so in depth that the community actually gets together and decides what is considered a god roll. And that's not even touching exotics. This game has a tier called Exotics, which are weapons and armors that have unique effects that can't be found anywhere else in the game. All around, I can't complain about the gameplay. I think it's practically perfect. Now we come to the point that everyone loves to hear, the point where I stop glazing the game and talk about how garbage it is. The game is free to play, but it's more like free to try. It doesn't feel like there's enough there to be called free to play. It feels like Star Wars The Old Republic, but I don't know, slightly less egregious. It still has this vibe as if they're trying to bully you into spending money. And when you try it for free, there's so many banners and stuff asking you every second to spend money on the game. It's actually one of the more frustrating things about being free. Also, gosh, it actually can be kind of a microtransaction hell. Aztecross did a better video about talking about how Destiny's become a microtransaction hell, and I have to refer you to that video because I have to admit it, I didn't realize it was that bad. Also, the new player experience can be tedious. I was actually talking to another content creator who actually tried Destiny to try the new player experience, and he was so lost that he quit. Oh yeah, the battle pass. That's another problem. This is where it kind of feels like the game is a little pay to win. The season pass is really rewarding. It gives you XP boosts, seasonal gear that does increase your power, and resources for weapons and crafting and seasonal exotics that you can get through the pass. They do have a free tier and a premium tier, and people can spend money to advance through the whole thing in one day. And that's the thing that really tips the scales into the game being kind of pay to win. I don't think a lot of people do that. Most people get the season pass and play through the game. I have never ran into someone who paid $100 to level up the season pass in one day. In my honest opinion, when it comes to the quote unquote pay to win in this game, it's really minor. There are plenty of games that make it so much more egregious, but there's never a point when you're playing this game and it's like someone went and got raid gear because they paid money. You still have to do some of the hardest activities in the game if you want to actually get good stuff. For example, in the Last Wish raid, there is a weapon that you cannot get anywhere else. You have to do the Last Wish raid to get it, and it's called 1000 Voices. No one is going to be paying money to get that exotic. You have to go do the activity and find a group of 6 people to do that activity if you want the weapon. As well as some of the best weapons in the game you can only get by doing some of the really hard content, like Grandmaster Nightfalls and raids. Grandmaster Nightfalls will absolutely tie you up, spit in your mouth, and take your cheeks without consent. I'm sorry, that was a bit aggressive, but it's true. Grandmaster Nightfalls are difficult.
Guys, I wanted to come back in and talk about one of the other problems in Destiny 2 that somehow I forgot to mention in the main video, and that is the Destiny content vault. So basically in 2020, Bungie took the content from the vanilla game and the first 2 expansions and basically deleted them from the game. At the time, this was about 70% of the game that was removed. This included destinations, weapons, armor, quests, and entire storylines. The reason that Bungie gave for this weren't really a comfort to the players, myself included, since my favorite raid got vaulted and, as I showed earlier in the video, probably won't ever be coming back. Since then, more content has been removed, like seasonal activities and weapons from those seasons. You can call this whatever you want, but this is a big negative for the game. In fact, this is probably the biggest pain point for veteran players like myself, and probably why there's still some people who have yet to pick the game back up. Do I think that this is a big enough reason to stay away from the game and say it's not worth it? For me, no. Does it hurt? Yes. But I wanted to be sure that this was in there so that everyone can know what happened, and I didn't want to be dishonest and not mention it.
I could go on and on, but in my opinion, the negatives of Destiny 2 are outweighed by the positives. Some people might disagree, but this is my video and I'm tired of farming negativity. I've already done that enough. Thanks for watching. Like and sub the video and comment what's your favorite part of Destiny 2 or why you hate it so much. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you Starside.